And I'm just waiting for notification, are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast with Student Captain David Muhammad. First of all, I want to give you the greeting, sir, of Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us, sir.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, right
Yes,
now,
sir.
we're slowed down right now, so we got the time.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. My first question is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Wow. That was probably 1980, 1988. I was, yeah, 1988. When I first heard the minister, I was, matter of fact, this was crazy. I was in the stash house, and the minister came on TV talking about Jesse Jackson. He was saying, "This is the last." He talking about Jesse. He says, "The last black leader you're gonna kill, Dr. King. You're not gonna feed our leadership like you feed raw meat to a dog." And I was like, "Man, who was that man?" You know. And some of the old heads at the time was like, "Oh, that's Farrakhan, man. He think he a prophet, right?" I was like, wow. So ever since 1988, I had been looking for, the Honorable Farrakhan, and then I heard him live in 1989. He came to Baltimore
Yes, sir.
at the Palladium. And that's where I came to actually see the minister live.
Praise be to Allah. My sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum. A lot of people giving you greetings. Walaikum salam, Naima. Walaikum salam, everyone else. Sister Anita from Baltimore says she misses and she loves you and she's very proud of you. Okay. My next question for you, sir, is why did you accept the teachings?
Oh, man. Josh, in 1988, when I heard the minister first, right, I was, at that time I was in the streets doing the things we do in Baltimore, and I had took my shahada uh, in the end of '88, right? And when I was still doing the same things I was doing, we were still doing the same things, still hustling, still doing what we was doing.
Yes, sir.
And when I heard the minister in '89, it's like, man, that's the Islam that I need. I need that Islam right there that's gonna give me some discipline, you know what I mean, and make me, stand up straight and strong. So um, after I heard the minister, I really was like, man, I think that's Islam I needed. So there was a shift for me. Some people do the opposite. Some people come in the nation and then they go to Orthodox Islam, but mine was opposite transformation. I was in Orthodox Islam. I heard the minister, and I was like, hey, I need to be. That's the Islam that I need in my life.
Okay. Yes, sir. And how did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
Wow. Well, my family was glad to see I had changed because I was really, really one of those people that was really doing, just out there. There's a certain culture in Baltimore, and it still exists today.
Yes, sir.
Where there's open air drug market, and so as a young person, you talking about the '80s, you talking about the height of the crack epidemic, man. So you talking about we was I was really out there. So when I came into the nation, uh, mostly my family was happy. My grandmother, my uncles are all preachers or evangelists. So that was really something different for them because I remember one time one of my uncles, I was visiting my grandmother and I came over to her house and I had my bow tie on, I was having my papers and everything, right?
Yes, sir.
He was like, he tried to take my tie, he tried to snatch my tie off, tried to snatch my bow tie off, right? So I blocked him. What you doing, man? He said, boy, you know what you done done? You know what you done done? What you talking about? You doing the black mafia, right? So my grandmother had to remind my grandmother said, leave him alone, leave him alone, leave him alone. You went through the same thing, right? So that right there, so I saw my grandmother take up for me at that point. And me and her used to, we got along real good. I mean, I used to come to her house and play the minister on VHS, and she would enjoy it. She was a staunch Christian, though. And and my mother, she was glad. She was glad that I made the transformation. You know, yeah. So my family accepted the transformation. Most
Okay. Praise be to the Lord. Thank you very much for telling us this, and thank you all for watching. My next question is, because it was the open air drug market, it's the 80s. Could you put us back in that mindset where there's no social media, there's no like how do you learn, like how were you learning how to get into the streets and all of that if you weren't seeing it every day on TV, or like how do you learn it? Just the neighborhood, or like how did you get into it?
Yeah, brother. I grew up in a place, West Baltimore. I was raised on a street called Gold Street, and that's right off Fifth Avenue. And that was one of the what we call 24-hour shops. So drugs was being sold on that block, on that street, 24 hours a day. At nighttime, you have people from East Baltimore come over there, people from different parts come, So it seemed to me that somebody in the community had a clock, and every young brother who reached 14 years old was automatically given a package, automatically put on. That's how it seemed to me, because I got my first package at 14, and I just thought that it was. But I saw other brothers in the community the same way. When they turned a certain age, everybody got put on. So it's like, okay, I guess this is what we do. This is what we do. So that's how we pretty much learn it. And like I said, when I first heard the minister, I was actually in the stash house, and I had some older brothers that was there, or some older guys that was there. That was, But I noticed that when I was a little shorty sitting on the steps, they were the ones out selling drugs. And now they buying drugs from me. So I say this is. I've looked at it. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You start out doing one thing, next thing you know, you end up, becoming a user and abusing things like that. So yeah, it's a learned culture there.
Yes, sir. I will reference The Wire, but my sisters and them get so mad at me because they're like, "You think that everybody from Baltimore is like The Wire?" I'm like, they would have just made the TV show out of nowhere. Apparently, it had to be some truth to The Wire. My God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a lot of truth to The Wire, brother. I know the place where they filmed The Wire at, which is a lot of it was done in McCullough Homes. I remember when I used to go down there and set up shop down there, the brothers would come through there. I would always buy the paper. I was always giving a $10 bill for a paper, $5 bill for a paper, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I would always support the brothers whenever they came through, right? So I remember, those days. I was, yeah.
Okay, my next question is: did you ever see any of the? How did the people that you used to like be in a trap with respond to you once you joined the nation? How did they treat you in Baltimore?
Well, with me, my transformation was it was a gradual transformation. I remember when, like I said, I was already going to the masjid, so that was there were people that were, you know, around, that was into certain things, right? So they would always call me when I would come around, that they would call me Malcolm X. Oh shit, Malcolm X. All that black talk.
Yes,
Even,
sir.
even in my ignorance, I had a love for our people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For our people, and I had certain boundaries that I wouldn't cross, you know, uh, in the game, right? So yeah, so that was, they uh years later, a lot of my friends I grew up with and went to school with, they looked up to me, and then I would go back. Actually, when I came back to Baltimore from Los Angeles, um, they would tell me, say, "Man, you're the only one that made it, man. You're the only one that made it. You're the only one that made it."
Praise be to Allah.
So I would always encourage them, "Nah, man, come on, you can do it too, man. Come on, man. Come on. It's room for you too. You can make it also." So yeah, it was interesting, brother. How the people that we affect, people in our own communities that we affect when we make the transformation to join the Nation of Islam, how it affects other people, how they look up to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, wonderful. Who trained you once you were in Baltimore? Like who was the person who taught you how to
Oh
call
man.
in and jail and all that?
Well, brother, we got a lot of trainers, man. From well, first of all, I would say your uncle, uh,
Mm, mm.
Bill. He was a
Yes, sir.
minister when I came in, and Capt, of course, right? And your father, of course. During that time, '89, uh, Baltimore was coming back and forth to DC.
Mm.
We were helping out. We being that support staff that was needed and necessary, right?
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Mr. Jamil, Cat McKeel, Brother Larry, of course, your father, right? And that's they had a great uh, big impact on me.
Praise be to Allah. How was it like when you first met the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan?
Wow. Okay. Well, traveling with in the 90s, in 1990, uh, the minister was on a Stop the Killing tour.
Mm, mm.
Right? And that's when your father, Cap McKeel, they had tape connections. So
Okay, okay.
me and Fontaine, we would roll with Cap McKeel, and we would work the tape.
Mm,
Right?
mm.
We work the table, along with doing security also. Right.
Yes, sir.
So it was. I've never really sat down and talked to the minister, but I've been in the minister's presence to have sit at the table with him to eat a couple of times. Um, I've been, on different assignments where he has talked to us as a group of captains.
Yes, sir.
A couple of times went over to Jamaica and different islands and stuff like that, right? So, but meeting the minister, I remember one time when the minister was touring. I believe this was for I believe the Million Family March. I was back in Baltimore. I was the captain in Baltimore at that time. And I remember uh, I was going to every city.
Yes, sir.
And this particular, I think it was in Charlotte, and I was working the elevator. And for some reason, the minister got on the elevator, man, and gave me a big hug, man. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, praise be. I was blown away. I was like, oh man, praise be to Allah, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that was the biggest thing, impression. That was the first big impression, that the minister, personally, I got from the minister. But I've, since then, I've had a chance to speak with him shortly, briefly, right? Introduce my wife and my son to these things like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. My next question is, how did you become the captain of Baltimore?
Whoa, okay. I think I became a lieutenant in Mosque number 6, probably in 1990.
Mm.
Um, and I became the first officer in Baltimore in 1992.
Okay. Okay.
So, um, and I remember Savior's Day '93. I had to stay back in Baltimore as the first officer, and everybody went to Los Angeles for Savior's Day.
Okay. Okay.
And I was like, man, I want to go to LA. I wanted to go to LA, but I had to stay back. So um, I didn't know that, a few months after that, that your father had told Cap McKeel he was looking for somebody to go to the West Coast. Um,
Mm.
this was in the end of '93, going into '94.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Cap McKeel said that he recommended me to go to be the captain in San Francisco.
Okay. Okay.
To be the captain in San Francisco, right?
Yes, sir.
So I went to San Francisco, got off the plane, and Brother Mark, who was the captain there, and a couple other brothers met me at the airport and said, brother, we got a ticket for you to go to Los Angeles. So
Mm.
I got on another plane, flew to Los Angeles, and then, because I didn't know that at the time, student Captain Hugh, that became the regional captain in Los Angeles.
Okay. Okay.
He asked his father could I come there and help him out for a while. So I
Mm.
went down to LA, and I stayed in LA for a couple of years. Uh, then I was Went down to Long Beach as a student captain down in Long Beach.
Okay, okay.
Right, I stayed there until I left the West Coast. So I was there in Long Beach from probably '96 until '99. Right, and I came back to Baltimore the end of '99, and Mr. Carlos, he asked me to be the captain. At a point, I think Capt McKeel had told me he was stepping down, and Mr. Carlos asked me, "Could I be the captain?" I was like, "Man, I just did a tour of duty, man, 5 years on the West Coast. Plus, man, I'm going to work. I work with the Marriott now. I don't know if I can be no captain, man. I got a job, right?"
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was like, "No, I think you can do it, you know." So I accepted that, and I think in June or July 2000, I became the captain of Baltimore, and I was a captain there for 12 years.
Mm.
And before we decided to make a move back out to the West Coast, because as you know, well, when we moved from Long Beach, the first winter back in Baltimore, my wife was talking about, I want to go back to California. That first winter, I want to go back. And sister, we can't keep getting up going across the country like this. So yeah, it took us 12, 13 years before we finally moved back, and I moved out here in 2013, and I became the captain here in 2014.
Praise be to Allah. I also want to make sure that we thank your wife and your family for their sacrifice as well, because we know it's a sacrifice to be a part of this, especially with a man who's a laborer and moving. And yes, sir, we thank them for their sacrifice. Now, could you go back? Yes, sir.
I want to first thank your family, man. I want to thank your family,
Oh, praise be to Allah.
particularly your mom, man, because your mom really trained my wife. You know,
Praise be to
Baltimore
Allah.
didn't have a Vanguard class, so the sisters in Baltimore had to go travel to DC to go
Mm,
get
mm.
right? And me coming from my own background, I knew that, like, wow, you know what? I got to marry somebody who know just as much Islam as I know.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And at that time, I thought that the Vanguard were the most knowledgeable Muslims in the nation because they had their stuff down. So I want to thank your family, man, especially your mom for training my wife, man. She's definitely a gift.
Praise.
Gift to me.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. I'm sure she's gonna appreciate that. She watches my interviews. My next question is when you were in Long Beach, how was that to be in Long Beach, California?
Well, we moved out here, brother. We didn't know anybody, right? Me and my wife, we was young. You know, we got married in 1992. We moved out here in '94.
Mm.
We didn't know anybody out here. Um, so it was just, I think that was Allah blessed us to develop such a great relationship. It was just us two against the world, really. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
we became best friends through that process. And when I went down to Long Beach, um, that was interesting. We Long Beach had been a study group for I think 9 years, and I went down to Long Beach, and I was ready to move. I was ready to go, brother. So
Mm, mm.
I found us a building. I found us a building. We, man, we moved into the spot, and we was ready to go. I mean, I remember uh, meeting up with some of the brothers in the streets in Long Beach, right? Because I'm from the West Coast, I'm from the East Coast, so I'm like a lot of the gang stuff I wasn't used to,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Even in Los Angeles, I remember an incident happened in Los Angeles that I really couldn't understand. Brother Ishmael from Los Angeles had to school me on this at Eazy E's funeral. Um, it was packed, and the brother was saying he couldn't sit next to another person because he was blue and they was red. And I was like, man, what are you talking about? If you want to get inside the building, you gonna sit right there. You ain't gonna sit. Yeah, so I had to be taught about the whole gang culture and things like that. But Long Beach was really good to me, brother. I remember going in Long Beach when I first got down there. I used to go to every barbershop, every beauty parlor, every little small store in Long Beach, right? every
Mm.
Saturday with my pies, man. For about 3 weeks, they kept telling me no. They're like, nah, we good. Nah, we good. And about, I think that fourth week, it's like when one person said yes, everybody said yes. And
Okay.
that was it. When that happened, I think I had the city. I mean, we was able to make some headway into the city, and people appreciated, um, our study group there. Matter of fact, we had got to 40 believers,
Mm. Mm.
and we had petitioned for our number, to get our number 42 back. And we were told by the national board at the time, because the minister was ill, was told they were reviewing whether 40 believers could maintain a mosque. So we
Mm.
wasn't in our number at that time, but we held it down. If you go back and look at the final call, you can see the most improved study group during those two years was Long Beach, California, man.
Okay. Okay. The LBC. Yes, sir.
Jason and the believers down there.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, so you said who was the study group coordinator?
Brother Jason, brother student minister Jason. I think he's assistant Mr. Tony now in Los Angeles.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. I didn't know that. Yes, sir. Sister Anita says thank you for your sacrifice and your wife is amazing. Brother Brandon Cashborn Muhammad said he was a great captain for the brothers in Long Beach, California.
Oh,
The mosque is really strong. Brother Durst from Houston says he was trying to figure out how Brother Captain still sounds like he's from West Baltimore. Okay. My next question for you, sir, is when did you go from seeing the Most High Missiles Farrakhan as a public speaker or maybe an activist to seeing him in a divine light?
brother, when we at Atlanta, we was in Atlanta at the Added Up. We called it Added Up,
Okay.
right? And when the minister was speaking, I had never seen a person with that type of command over the people like that, especially with black people like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's when I knew that this man was a special man. I knew this was a special man. I knew that, this is the person I've been looking for all my life.
Praise be to
I
Allah.
was looking, I believed that I was born to help this man, because that's what I was saying. I said, I want to. When I first heard him, I was like, man, who this man? I want to know what he had. I want to go help him. And that's what that's what I try to do.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Add it up. Okay, yes, sir. Just a quick commercial break for the sponsors of this podcast, Brother Captain. Okay, designofcomposures.com, Khaliq's Boutique on Instagram. Make sure y'all support Supreme Men's Clothing in St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue, 63136. That's the zip code. The phone number is 314-528-5555. They will keep everybody fresh. You're gonna be dripping. Support these people. Also, Dion Muhammad, who is from Chicago, that now lives in Florida. Thank you for your sponsorship for the equipment. I want to make sure I give you a shout out, and Brother Jamil and them for the camera equipment and the new webcam as well. Also, my brother Rashad has a video production company, Street Premiere. Make sure you all support them if you need some video editing. He has a drone camera. He's all excited. They got some movie stuff they're working on. So if you need some editing, reach out to him. My sister Miriam's book. She has a coloring book as well as a children's book. Both of them are on Amazon. ABC I Love Me. Make sure you all support. My second book, Cleopatra, which is a coloring book. It is on Amazon as well. And last but not least, my father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, on AbdulSharifMuhammad.com. Make sure everybody support. Boom. All right, right back to you, Brother Captain. My next question is, in your tenure, I mean, I didn't know all of this because ever since I've seen you, you always just look very serious. Borderline mean, Brother Captain, backstage. I just see you just always in soldier mode. So what do you do for fun?
Oh man, I'm a martial art enthusiast, right? I never really have tried to change with my belt or whatever, right? But I work with different people um, in martial arts. My first teacher was Brother Urban when I was in Long Beach, California. Professor Urban Muhammad. When I went back to Baltimore, I I trained with Professor Al Woods in D.C. Um, so I think the arts. I just like studying that. Also, when I was in Los Angeles, again had the great Sijo uh, Muhammad, formerly
Mm.
Steve Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Very
sir.
to us there. Yes, sir.
Okay, praise be so. That's beautiful. Yes, sir. He trained me as well. Thank you, brother Durst. My next question for you, brother Captain, is from Baltimore to Long Beach to San Francisco, um, now in San Diego. Have you ever had death threats or had to fear for your life? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Wow. Um, I wouldn't say I've had death threats personally. I've had people mad at me though. I've had people mad at me though, but again, once you understand, if you are the authority, you don't have to argue with people. It's not the authority, right? So
Yes, sir.
kind of let people get me out of my off my square.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I do remember one time we were in Virginia, and the minister was speaking in Virginia, and there was a device that was found in the closet that was under the stage,
Mm, mm.
right? And you know, uh, somebody had to stay there until the bomb squad came, and I volunteered to do that.
Mm, mm,
I
mm,
volunteered to stay there until the bomb squad came. I was on that, I was on that door, that closet, until they came and removed the device, which had been placed there uh, by by um, some techno device that they had. It was placed there for a concert that happened before, right?
mm, mm,
You know, I guess at the time we didn't know what it was. It was a bomb. What it was, some type of device that could explode, right? So
mm.
yes, so yeah.
Praise be to Allah. And what made you not be afraid or care about going to your family, going back home? Like what made you just be like, I'm on it?
Brother, I've always been of this mindset. If I'm with you, 100%.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
when I dedicated my life to Islam, you know, I believe that, my life, my death is all for Allah. So anything to help protect that man, I would do. I mean, and I learned a lot of that commitment from your father, from Captain also.
Allahu Akbar. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question is the Million Man March. How did it impact you, and what was your mindset leading up to it?
Oh man, leading up to the Million Man March, that was at that time. Okay, I was in Los Angeles,
Mm,
'94, so I was
mm,
on the West Coast during the Million Man March, and we were, I remember on the early start of the Million Man March, we went from selling buttons to stickers to raising money to selling $2 papers. So I
mm.
mean, we putting in the work during the Million Man March. And I remember the West Coast. Matter of fact, Mosque number 27. At the time, I was the local captain at the time, right?
Mm, mm,
Brother Hugh was the regional captain.
mm.
We was responsible for bringing the bulletproof shield and setting that up on
Yeah,
small.
yeah.
Um, so I think the West Coast. This is the thing. The West Coast. Our assignment was all the way in the back. Got a Lincoln statue, right?
Okay, yes, sir.
So we was back there. I remember that morning after we put the shield up and everything. We was back there. Um, we was back there drilling. It was cold that morning. Drilling. We was back there drilling, trying to keep the men warm. Man, I had about 300 soldiers back there. And
Mm, mm.
probably around 7:45. I remember 7:45, 8 o'clock. Captain Dennis had drove one of the golf carts down. They came down. They said, "Listen, we need y'all up to the front, right?"
Mm,
By this time, 8 o'clock in the morning, it was already probably a million people out on the mall, right?
mm, mm,
So,
mm.
brother, the impact when those people opened up and let us walk right through, man. We walked all the way up from the back, all the way up to the front, and when I stood on the stage and looked out and saw the crowd from the stage, I just started crying, man.
Mm,
Like,
mm.
oh man, praise be to Allah. That was a day for me, brother. So
Praise
yes,
be to Allah.
the Million Man March really impacted my life greatly, um, and it allowed me an opportunity to once again see the divinity of the Honorable Lord Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your transparency. I got a follow-up question to 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 that, but I want to just read the comments. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum salam. Sister Anita, alaikum salam, man. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Brother Ronald Muhammad from Phoenix says that's when he first met the brother selling "Take a Stand Black Man" shirts in the streets of LA as a shorty. He always looked up to you. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question for you, sir, is you had 300 men. It's a Mayman March. Your mindset is it's not about numbers. Y'all good with the 300? I mean, put me in the mindset.
Well, I think, I say it was 300 men. I don't know. It probably been less than that, but it looked like it was 300 of us, brother. But I'm telling you, I think that mindset that day, we were ready to do whatever it would take. We were ready to do whatever we had to do. That's why I'm saying we were already in the back, man. And, we, whatever our assignment was, we was going to handle it. The West Coast, one thing about the West Coast and LA in particular, right? We had a lot of talented brothers
Mm,
in 27. And there was a lot of talent there, right? And sometimes uh, there would be so much talent that there would be some friction
mm.
while we were in the city.
Mm.
But I noticed that whenever we would leave the city, man, we were the top. And LA was the top soldiers wherever we went.
Mm. Yeah, yes, sir,
Did
yes,
the
sir.
work, did the work. I remember one time we was in the minister was speaking in Houston, and we was a station outside, right?
Yes, sir.
And, man, somebody was out there scalping tickets, man. Somebody was out there selling fake tickets. You
Okay.
that whole crew, that drill team from LA, that the one that y'all remember, Ishmael like
Okay,
time.
yes, sir. So brother Sharif and brother Marcus and them.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Man,
yes, sir.
we chased them jokers down, took the tickets, bought everything back, gave you a Supreme Captain, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, hey, LA. Whenever we was out the city, we were 100% on top of it, right?
Praise be to Allah. Okay, speaking of that, Brother Captain, for you to be, like you said, doing a tour of duty, serving in this nation, what has been your greatest trial and how have you overcome that?
Hmm. I think my greatest trial has been uh, I've always been a forward, in my mind, a forward thinker, right? When
Yes,
I
sir.
listen to the minister, I don't listen to be pumped up. I
Mm,
listen
mm.
for instructions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when the minister says certain things, I would move out on those things before the instructions was given. I can remember every time when I was in the West Coast, I remember every time your father would come to the West Coast, I would have to be up in the room explaining something that I did to somebody. They report me every time I was reported for all different types of stuff, but every time, I told your father what it was, he was like, good job, soldiers, right? Because
Mm,
so I've always been somebody who was always moved out before instructions was actually given, right? And so I think one of my trials has been, trying to uh, hold myself back until we get the instruction. What
mm.
happens is, for so many things, so many times, when you're dealing with men and training men, right?
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
the men have to see that they have leadership, that's willing to lead by example and be out front,
Yes, sir.
you know, and take the front road.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. Brother Isaiah says, the great Captain David, he thanks Allah for everything you taught him. Brother Durst Muhammad says, yes, sir. The family day, that's family day in Houston. My next question for you, Brother Captain, is what has been your greatest joy in your tenure in the Nation of Islam?
Oh man, I tell you, Josh, I had many joyous times in the Nation of Islam, but I think one of the times that was most surreal for me was I remember I was back in Baltimore as a student captain, and I seen the regional minister here, uh, Abdul Malik Saeed,
Mm.
Prime Minister Tony Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
and He stopped me. I was going to the escalator. He stopped me. He said, "Brother," he said, "I want to thank you." He said, "Because everything that me and Brother Hugh went through, you never took sides. You always
Mm,
kept in focus with the little Farrakhan said to you. I want to thank you for that, brother.
mm,
I
mm.
think, Allah, I was that type of soldier. And I think that time right there was one of the to know that somebody recognized the brother as being somebody who try to keep the men on the straight and narrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, now I got a follow up question with that. I interviewed a brother named James Najee on the podcast who was with Malcolm X. He was the first person to minister to her. I think we came to the mosque to teach in New York. Um, and he was talking about the friction between Captain Yusuf Shah and Malcolm X, Captain Yusuf Shah and the minister. My dad talked about him and Dr. Alim always getting into it in DC and stuff. Do you think that we'll ever see a time where the minister and captain won't be so much friction there, or do you think that's good for business? Like, what do you think?
Oh, wow, let me see. There, I'm gonna tell you, there's a certain culture among us, right?
Yes, sir.
And a person like myself, even when I was in the street, right, I was always one who wanted to play in the background anyway.
Yes, sir.
Even when I was it was my thing, right? People thought it was somebody else's thing.
Mm,
I say,
mm.
hey, it's his thing. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
So I try to always learn or from that. So I always know my place. And if I know that a person, a man, is representing the Amalos Farrakhan, then I know that Mr. Farrakhan is that person in that city in his state, right?
Yes, sir.
So I don't think I have those type of issues with my ministers.
Mm.
Especially, I tell you, especially with me and Minister Carlos, I think we had. That's why I think I was the captain there for so long, almost 13 years, running straight because our relationship was, it was a good relationship.
Mm, mm.
I knew my place. I knew who he represented, and I was there to help and protect it. To make sure that he was able to do his job, right?
Mm. Yes, sir.
Um, I mean, currently, I'm serving in the capacity as a captain with a former regional captain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So of course, me and him are going to, me and him might have some differences, right? Or the Holy
Yes,
Quran.
sir.
Hey, once the matter is decided, hey, once it's decided, brother, we go with what's decided among us, right? So
Yes,
I
sir.
I know my place, and I try to play my place as best I can.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that. Thank you, Brother Durst, for saying a great question. And thank you all for your comments. I see your comments. Thank you all very much. And thank you for watching. My next question is, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Oh man, fathers, keep your children close to you. Keep your children close to you, right? And I know um, at points, at times, we want to let our children go and let them experience the world or whatever, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell a father, man, keep your children close to you, right? And you know, as close as you can, because this world is designed to really, um, you know, take our children away from us and make them devil's children.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So, young fathers, I would tell them, keep your children close to you. Um, yes, sir. That would be my biggest advice.
Okay, yes, sir. And what advice would you give to future husbands?
Oh man, I would say this, brother, the husband, you want to make sure that the woman that you marry, I'm gonna give some advice that was given to me. It says, brother told me, brother Larry told me this. He said, don't marry your girlfriend and pass your wife up.
Mm, mm, mm,
Right? So
mm, mm.
I would say to the husband, make sure the sister that you marry is somebody that's going to compliment you, right? And somebody that's going to give you, not going to just be a follow along, but somebody that's going to help you to grow in this mission. Um,
Mm.
so all the sisters, all the sisters, want us to be like the minister, right? And of course, as brothers, we want our wives to be like Mother Khadijah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just like she helped, the minister said she helped make him a soldier. Our wives, you want a woman to help make you a soldier, brother. So you want somebody that's going to help challenge you, see you do better, and see you go further.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your great answer and your transparency, and thank you all for watching. Our brother Jamar says, "Yes, sir. Keep your children close to you." Brother Brandon says he's noticed a real friendship between you and your wife. How did you make that happen?
Brother, me and my wife are best friends. So
Mm, mm,
even if we got divorced today, we'll still be best friends. So
mm, mm.
I'm married or she's married, it would have to be they had to understand the fact that you can't mess with this relationship.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We grew up in this thing together. We were married for almost 30 years now. I think she was 19, I was 22 when we got married. So we've been married, yeah, almost 30 years. Next month, next December will be I believe our 30th year.
Praise be to Allah.
So
Okay. Okay. Excellent. My next question is: you have a business with your wife that you explained to me earlier. Could you please expound on your business?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we we have a business now. It's called I Am Green, right? And what we do is we do. Oh, first let me go back. In Baltimore, right? When I was a captain in Baltimore, we established something called Baltimore Citizens for Positive Change,
Mm.
and that came from again Minister Kadir, the regional minister there, said that the Honorable Farrakhan told him, right, that he should establish a a separate wing, right, that could do other things outside of mosque things for the community. And you
Mm. Mm.
call it DC Citizens for Positive Change.
Mm. Mm.
So that's an instruction for me.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes,
we
sir.
formed Baltimore Citizens for Positive Change. And that whole thing was trying to develop um, workforce development to pull some of the brothers out the street and get them into jobs.
Yes, sir.
When
Yes,
I
sir.
came to San Diego was a perfect spot for that. Student minister Waliullah Muhammad, only than his brother Hugh, he had a nonprofit called My Brother's Keeper.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
They were feeding people, doing computer lab, literacy training, and all that. So I'm like, man, instead of keep feeding, we teach people how to feed themselves.
Mm. Mm.
Job skills, teach some skills so they can learn how to feed themselves, man, and put in the work. So it all developed out of that, through My Brother's Keeper. Then me and Sister Maria, um, she's a phenomenal sister, man. My wife is phenomenal.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
She was the co-founder of what is called um, San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition.
Mm.
Through that, she brought together various different components of sustainability. So we teach green job workforce development, um, solar panel installation, energy auditing, weatherization training, and things like that.
Hey, that's amazing. Yes, sir. That's great. My sister says that's beautiful. And thank you all for keen to watch, brother. Just got two more questions for you, brother Captain. Well, no, three. Have you ever had any interactions with a celebrity that I know this is what everybody seems to be saying. Most times, Farrakhan is the only celebrity. I'm aware of that. I'm gonna say outside of the minister. Have you ever had any interaction with a celebrity that was a fond memory of yours?
Brother, being in Los Angeles, you gonna have interactions with various celebrities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, I came out here at the point between in the time of Tupac and Biggie Smalls and all that, right? Um, I think I don't want to go. I don't want to deal with that part, but I would say this right here that the celebrity that I had the most respect for would be Aaliyah,
Mm, mm, mm.
and she was somebody who was real down to earth. I remember working with Genuine. He was doing this thing with the Pony songs. I was working security with him, right?
Yes, sir.
And but Aaliyah, she was really down to earth, man. She really showed us a lot of respect, and she really, appreciated the FOI and what we did.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. The The Easy E funeral, was that did that all work out smooth? Because you mentioned it, but you didn't say nothing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It worked out smooth. Brother Ishmael had to take me to the side, explain to me that the gang politics piece.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother was sent upstairs, and he was sent upstairs to go sit somewhere else. Right, I couldn't understand. But during that time, also, I was security for Easy E's wife
Mm.
in the hospital. Right,
Mm.
that was one of the first uh, tasks or jobs I was assigned as from NOI security for the
Yes,
West Side.
sir.
But
Okay, so in the movie Shot of Compton, those brothers are supposed to represent you. I'm assuming that they showed doing security at the hospital. That's supposed to be you and the brothers at the FOI. Okay, yes, sir.
exactly, brother.
Okay. My next question is, what advice would you give to the younger generation about keeping their toes, like 10 toes down as far as their faith in Islam and the minister? What advice would you give? Because you've been in it for so long. What advice would you give?
Well, I would let us really let the young brothers and sisters know that we got to pace ourselves. This is not, this man. This is a marathon. I mean,
Yes,
this is
sir.
not a 90-day wonder, man. So you got to pace yourself. I know people come in, and when we come in. I mean, when I came in, man, blazing, man. I remember men telling Capt, man, this man should not be able to kill unless he's married with children, man. Because I was
Mm,
like, I don't care nothing about no pampers, none of that. I just need to get that final call money, man. I
mm,
want
mm, mm.
the call money. That's what we need to talk about. I would say, pace yourself. I would say the young people pace themselves, and be they have to study. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself and study, and learn the teachings of the Most High Muhammad, right?
Mm,
And
mm.
on his purpose, because the Honorable Lord Farrakhan, in my estimation, with the study guide, the minister is giving us the meaning of the teachings of the Most High Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, so I think, yeah, we just gotta, stay studied up, man, and pace yourself because, this is life. It's a lifelong journey.
Praise
And,
be to Allah.
also, I would tell them also that, not to be too quick to respond to criticism.
Mm, mm, mm,
Honorable Schwarzenegger said, well, she said, whenever we criticize, there's some truth in it.
mm,
So
mm,
don't be too quick to don't be too quick to respond to criticism. Look at what the person is saying first before you respond, right?
mm.
Before you receive criticism.
Praise be to Allah. Wish you would have told me that when I was drilling all these years, getting criticized all the time. Brother Kyle says, I can't. He came in just like that, blazing. My sister Mimi says, excellent advice. Brother Brandon says, Sister Tamika used to let you all drive the Easy E's lowriders. Um, my next question is, what do you want your legacy to be, sir?
Well, I want to be known as a good brother that like to help the Muslims.
Mm, mm.
That's what my legacy. That's what I want my legacy to be. I want to, just be, I'm brother David. I never try to put myself above the soldiers, right? Um, so I always try to see how I can help, how I can help the believers better, right? So yeah, I just want to be, a good brother like help the Muslims.
Praise be to Allah, and that you are. And I've always looked up to you, sir. Even though this is the most I've ever heard you speak, I just always knew you were very silent and the silent, deadly type and strong type. So I
Thank
thank you for always being a great uncle and looking out for myself, my family, and any believer, but especially young soldiers. Always just man being on your job. I don't even think I've ever seen you take a break, brother Captain.
It seemed like that. It seemed like that, brother. Sometimes I also want to thank young. I want to thank a couple of young brothers, man, who were there with me in my development.
Mm.
Brother Jamal from Baltimore,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Dante, the whole team. I mean, brother, and me and brother Fontaine, man. At one point, we didn't get into this, but we lived together one time, man.
Mm, mm,
Fontaine lived together in a rooming house together, right?
mm, mm, mm.
I want to thank them brothers too, because Fontaine was my first lieutenant, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
And brother Larry put it on us, brother. Listen, when Captain McKee was out the city, man, they will put it on us, brother. They will put
Yes,
it
sir.
on.
I saw Brother Larry's son in a picture recently, and
Yes,
I was happy to see him. And I remember him when I was younger. Yeah, it was good to see Brother. Is he Larry Jr. or is he just little Larry?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And yes, sir, brother. The student captain in Baltimore now, brother Andrew says, "Facts. You are his captain. Give him your love. Give you his love." Boom.
Oh man, brother Andrew, that's that's my brother, man. I mean, we knew each other in the streets prior
Mm,
to us coming into the nation, right? So
mm,
we had a, we have a history. But I was, when I was leaving Baltimore, and they asked me, Brother Carlos asked me who would be. I'm like, well, Brother Andrew can do it. I
mm,
can do it because I mean, he was my first officer twice. But the last
mm.
time he was officer for 5 years, so I knew he could do it because I know how you know how we got down in Baltimore, and a lot of things that you know we see in Baltimore. Those seeds were planted years before.
Praise be to Allah. Well, I thank you all for your work, brother Captain. Thank you, brother student captain Andrew. Man, I feel inspired from this interview, and we're gonna put it on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share. Off the record, Josh. If anybody wants to have a business you'd like to sponsor, J Imagination on Cash App, just let me know. I will absolutely promote your business on the next podcast. Thank you, brother Captain, and please give your family greetings.
Thank you too, good brother. Good time to
Yes,
greet
sir.
you, brother.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Islam, sir.